Namaste and welcome to another episode of BGM Podcast. I'm Dr. Jyoti Sahani, your host and a senior physiotherapist in BGM Health. So today we are exploring a high intensity and high performance topic, that is rehabilitation of elite professionals and what are the challenges there. And today we are very honored to have Dr. Sandeepan Das Sharma with us today, who has shaped the field of physiotherapy and sports medicine in India and has 30 plus years of experience, and also the head of physical medicine and rehabilitation department, and has worked with so many Olympians, national champions, and elite professionals. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us today and taking out your valuable time.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, before we start the serious talk, can you please give us some story of your journey? What drew towards this field of physiotherapy and sports medicine? Tell us about your journey, how it started.
Thank you. You have just asked a very pertinent question because once we started, we means my contemporary and all. That time, sports medicine in India was just growing. The fact is that I'm working with a government organization where I got an opportunity to have my sports graduation.
Okay.
During my study days, the major challenge was that to convince my parents for my sports, and I used to play football quite a lot. That time, once I have seen the list which was there for the specialization, sports medicine was one of them. So I am a die-hard football fan, and I played a lot. So most probably that is the clicking point where I have thought, why not do something which I like, as well as we keep me in touch with medicine as well as sports.
That's wonderful, sir. So, you yourself was a sports person.
Yeah.
You played
I have played
football.
football. I have played many other things, but football is very close to my heart.
That's amazing, sir. So, what was your first elite athlete case that you remember? How was your experience at back then?
We had actually started our journey at NSNIS Patiala because that time NSNIS Patiala was only one organization which is running MCI recognized program. I still remember she is a female worker from the Indian team, and she actually complained about excruciating pain in the pubic area and groin area.
Oh.
The diagnosis, the first point was that the diagnosis of that athlete is still in my mind because there are a lot of confusion regarding whether it is a muscular injury, whether it is a bony injury, whether it is like
Yes,
a
sir.
inflammatory condition, whether it is a stress condition. And that was the first time, most probably, I heard about something called triple phase bone scan.
Okay.
I have not heard about it before. So that is the first time as a student. I was that time as a first year. So we have understood, okay, there is something called triple phase bone scan, which can give us a confirmatory diagnosis about a stress injury or maybe an inflammatory condition. So that case is still in my mind. More so because we followed that case almost for 4 months.
That long.
And it was a very good rapport with that athlete for all of us in our batch because she used to train and take a lot of feedback from us. So that is a very interesting case for me.
So you talked about three-phase bone scan. Can you, for our viewers, can you explain what is it, and if there is another method that we are using currently?
No, triple phase bone scan is one type of investigation which comes under nuclear medicine,
Okay.
where we give one type of chemical which is radioactive. If a body part is hyperactive, that will absorb and retain that thing for certain duration. If a body part is inflammatory, that will hold it for a certain duration. So there are three different phases in terms of timeline, which when after giving that nuclear medicine, radioactive component, the body is getting scanned. And there are few conditions like complex regional pain syndrome, difficult stress injury, osteitis pubis. These are the conditions where very commonly in sports, this is the only way out to determine. So,
Okay.
uh, used rarely, but where it is used, there is no other method
Hmm.
to really supplement it or change it. on
That's
ground.
wonderful, sir. Okay. Thank you so much. So, sir, when we talk about elite and amateur athletes and sports, can you give us elaborate on us like what exactly the terms means and what is difference between elite sports and amateur sports when we talk about it?
You see, once we say like an amateur sports,
Hmm.
the major ingredient is that I enjoy that sports.
Okay.
And I am not dependent on that sports because my roji roti is not coming through it.
Acha.
So therefore, it is like how I enjoy. And if I have some injury,
Mhm.
then I need to just overcome that injury, and I have a lot of time to return back. There is no pressure. Once we talk about elite sports, the major point is that in elite sport, the first is performance.
Hmm.
So you have to keep certain amount of performance throughout. It is your bread and butter. Through that you are earning. And the third thing is that if you get injured,
Hmm.
then you have a very competitive phase where others are there to push you out. So you need to come back fast so that you can catch hold of your position,
Hmm.
and others are not getting that much of opportunity to prove them and replacing. So elite, I can say performance, the pressure, the timeline is different, and in amateur it is basically kind of happiness, enjoyment, and being active. That's all.
That's wonderfully you explained. So basically, जो elite athletes होते हैं, they are professional athletes,
Absolutely.
and who amateur athletes we call them who just play sports, not because of their.
Basically
It's not
for enjoyment.
basically for
Basically.
the enjoyment. So when we talk about the injury mechanism, is there any difference between the injury mechanism of an elite and amateur athletes, and also what is like the rehab goals we set for both of them?
Surely. Because in amateur, the intensity of match is different.
Hmm.
And therefore, your injury pattern or extent of injury can be slightly different. Like for a football match at elite level,
Hmm.
the intensity and the overall type of injury will be different. If I am talking about maybe an hamstring strain,
All right.
because the intensity is different
Mhm.
and the contact and other things are also different. In an amateur format, what generally happens, an amateur player is not that professional. So, suppose somebody is tackling a footballer,
Hmm.
in an amateur, the tackle will be quite rusty.
Hmm.
But in elite, the tackle will be quite professional because there is chance of card and all these things more.
Hmm.
So, the impact will be different in an elite football than a amateur football. Also, the intensity of run, the acceleration and deceleration quotient a player is maintaining will be different.
Hmm.
And therefore, we see slightly different degree of injury in elite, and more so like a, you can say, bony injuries are more in a amateur injury. Soft tissues will be there, but in elite, once you get a soft tissue injury, generally they are slightly complex because the level of fitness they also maintain quite a lot. So once they sustain an injury,
Hmm.
it it is generally slightly different from a amateur player. So you can say intensity wise, it is different. And as a sports medicine on physio side, once we are talking about rehab,
Hmm.
for an amateur you can go like a, okay, I'll go for a 9-month program, no issue, like an ACL rehab.
Hmm.
But in an elite, my first objective will be how I can reduce the 9 month to 7 month.
Okay. Yeah. The rehab timeline matters a lot.
Absolutely. So regeneration
Hmm.
and simultaneous rehabilitation is more focused in elite.
Hmm.
In amateur, you can go like a conventional way. There is no time pressure.
Hmm.
It is like you should be fine so that you can go. You can even get lot of time to return to play so that the player is not getting
Absolutely.
injured.
Yes.
But here, that point is not there. So timeline wise, it is quite different.
So, sir, when we talk about sports performance and rehab, तो ये दोनों फैक्टर्स ये दोनों एक दूसरे से कितने इंटरकनेक्टेड हैं अगर हम इस इंटरकनेक्शन की बात करें और जो स्पोर्ट्स का परफॉर्मेंस है वो रिहैब पे कितना डिपेंड करता है
it is also, it is a good question. I'll just extend it a bit. Uh, Strength and conditioning is the bread and butter of any sports person.
Correct.
And strength and conditioning is also an integral part of rehabilitation. Now, once we talk about rehabilitation, we just talk like you are having an injury, so you just recover it and return safely to sports. So, obviously, in an elite domain, the return to play decision and rehab has to be 100% so that they are returning and not sustaining injury. So, therefore, it is important. But more so, the prevention of injury is also important. So, therefore, our focus is in the prevention also through physical activity and then physical rehabilitation once you are sustaining injury. So, I see at a sink like a chain where the prevention as well as rehabilitation both are part. Like suppose I am doing general exercise, but I am not focusing certain group of muscle. So if somebody gives me that idea, maybe a physiotherapist or a physical conditioner, and I do those exercise and therefore I prevent my injury, that is more important in elite because I will not like to get the injury. But if I get so, obviously the physiotherapy role is very important because that person will make me fit as early as possible and as good as possible so that once I'm back to game, I'm not sustaining once again the injury. So importance of physiotherapy or physical rehabilitation is very, very much there in elite sports.
Absolutely, sir. I completely agree. Prevention is always better than cure. So whether if you can prevent the injury, that will be the utmost priority and the most prior things that any physiotherapist can opt for. So इसके लिए क्या क्या हम steps as a physiotherapist, as a doctor, sports medicine specialist, क्या क्या steps ले सकते हैं for prevention?
So injury prevention, once again, I'll just extend a bit. Injury is because of 4 important aspects. One is my capability. One is my opponent's activity.
Absolutely.
One is my level of energy supply so that I am not fatigued. And one is environmental condition. Outside these 4, the first one, what I have mentioned, that what is my capability depends upon how I do those physical activity. That means what is my biomechanical motion flow. So in prevention, one of the important aspect is to understand the biomechanical aspect so that I am not having any faulty technique which is injury prone. That is one thing. The second thing is that I need to maintain my muscle balance and strength and conditioning proper so that my musculoskeletal system is working in sync. There is always one muscle which is contracting, another muscle which is relaxing. So both these agonist and antagonist muscle has to have a muscle balance. So that is also important. Strength is not the only thing. Then the third thing is that depending upon my sports, I might be requiring a bit of additional explosive power where a lot of jumps and other things are involved. So my strength and conditioning, those component has to be there. Excluding this factor, I need to have a very, very robust mindset so that once I am facing someone, my movements are not hesitant. As an example, I am a boxer and I am facing someone who is a renowned boxer. If it comes to my head that, okay, he is superior to me, my body movement in a contact sports for a very single second will be different. And because of that hesitant approach, I might be losing my balance and I might sustain some injury as well.
The psychological part is also very
important. Nutrition is very, very important. How I do my pre-match, how I do my in-match activities, and how I do my post-match activities, how I am recovering, how I am ensuring those things. So overall, everything, but nucleus is how you maintain your muscle, body movement, biomechanics. So as a physiotherapist or a sports medicine specialist, if we try to address all these things, if I'm the only one who is advising a team, that is one thing. Otherwise, if there are multiple people involved, as a team, we must ensure that thing for an elite player. Mentally, physically, nutritionally, everything.
So you talked about the nutrition and the mental health part, psychological part. We'll come to that later because I really want to know more about it, how you tackle it and how you balance it with the rehab. The question I wanted to ask you now is, what is the one injury that you will say, या कौन सा ऐसा injuries हैं जो frequently elite athletes में आपने देखा है और आप उसको आप अपने करियर में आप बार-बार रिकर होते हुए देखते हैं?
देखिए, you will also understand few sports as a typical type of injury.
Yes.
As an example, if I'm talking about a football game,
Hmm.
I'll be more worried about groin strain. I'll be more worried about ankle sprain. I'll be more worried about hamstring injuries and maybe ACL injury also. So this is one type. If I'm talking about a cycling kind of a sports, there, because of the posture of the player, there is always a tendency of tightness of the flexor, and therefore there is an imbalance in the hip, and there can be a lot of hip and back problem. So every sports has a typical nature of injury. The most important part is that the rehab person or the physio person should understand, once there is an injury, once I am rehabilitating the injury, the cause of the injury need to be explored so that I can prevent it for recurrence. So that is most important part. But if you just ask me, most probably as a commonest injury, I have faced two which is very, very niggling. One is a chronic ankle condition and one is a shoulder condition.
And if we talk about elite athletes, what are the most common and frequent occurring injuries that you have came across?
See, depends upon, once again, depends upon what is the type of the sport.
Yeah.
Something like a throwing
Definitely.
sports and all these things, you'll always see like an elbow injury, lot of like hyperextension. So
Also in golf players.
Yes. Now, something which is related with throwing kind of an activity, you will get a lot of rotator injuries as a sequelae to those things. Something like a sports where acceleration and deceleration is involved as well as contact, you will get a lot of ACL injuries or maybe hamstring injuries. Something where I am doing a lot of walking or running activity, I can get stress injuries or even Achilles tendinopathy. So sports wise, it is variable. I'm associated with football more as a long term association with the game. So I can say in football, my main challenge is multiple recurrence of groin condition and multiple injury of ankle.
Okay.
In football, if I just talk about football.
All right. You mean to say every injuries, if we are talking about injuries, always it is sports related?
Yes.
So we cannot just say कि elite में या amateur में ऐसा कोई common injuries हम नहीं कर सकते, rule out नहीं कर सकते.
It is sport specific.
Yes.
In general, we can say, okay, your ultimately ACL injury will be more, you can have your rotator injuries more, but that also sport specific.
Yeah.
Suppose I am talking about archery, you will get a lot of back issues.
Correct.
Suppose you are looking for pistol shooting, you will get a lot of back issues because there is a very persistent requirement of the player to stand in a posture, maintain something. Now, somewhere when I'm doing throwing activity, obviously my rotator is getting involved. So, sport specific.
So, sir, अगर हम challenges की बात करें, तो elite domain में what are the challenges that you face doing a rehab, and how is that different from any general rehab that you do?
The first challenge, what I can say, which is improving over time, is the awareness of the coaches and the administrators. In an elite domain, the first challenge, at least 15 years prior, was that once a player is injured and ultimately the coach has brought him to a sports medicine specialist, the first question is that 2 हफ्ते में ठीक हो जाएगा ना डॉक्टर साहब. So it is not that they were not having an awareness regarding injuries and how much time it can take. But in today's scenario, because the education and other aspect is improving in every strata, coaches are now generally more realistic. They are aware, okay, if there is an hamstring injury, it will take this much of time. There is no point pressurizing the sports physio or the sports medicine doctor why the player is not coming back. So that awareness is there. It was also there in players as well, which has also improved. So the first component, I can say, the challenge is the timeline and the pressure. But the second problem is still today, it is basically once you start improving And once you start doing your activity pain-free,
Hmm.
there the pressure to come to sports is very high. That time, the
Hmm.
rehab to return to play
Yeah.
in between the gradual movement is something where still now players are very, very restless. They want to do that thing like a haste.
Hmm.
Like, I'm pain-free. मुझे खेलने दो.
Hmm.
So that is an area which is still like a challenge. It depends upon how much rapport you develop with the coach and the player so that you can hold them for that certain period so that they are not taking unnecessary risk and getting injured.
सर अभी आपने प्रेशर की बात करी जो एथलीट्स यूजुअली फेस करते हैं एंड ड्यूरिंग द पीरियड ऑफ इंजरीज आल्सो द प्रेशर ऑफ कोर्स दे आर द नेशनल प्राइड दे आर द ओलंपियंस चैंपियंस सो दे फेस मीडिया प्रेशर एंड एवरीथिंग इज देयर so how do you balance it with your work ethics because that pressure also comes onto you, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
No denial that at times you might get certain bit of pressure from the federation, from the coach, from the player side, that you need to hasten up things. As I mentioned, the most important aspect is how transparent you are once you are advising your player, and through the rehab process, how much awareness you are building in him or her. If you make them part of the decision making and not just giving them the treatment, they will be able to understand, okay, this much time I need to hold. I just give an example. There is a 17-year boy who has sustained a rotator injury and a slap lesion in shoulder, tennis player, just handled very recently. Last 10 days was the return to play last phase. And the coach was really like pushing, ki, I need to start now. He has lost so many months,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But the best part is that I have discussed it with the parents. I made the player aware that these 10 days will not take anything from you. But if you just get an injury, it will take another 12 weeks from your game. So hold these 10 days rather than coming back for 12 weeks. So once they are aware and you make them part of the thing and you do some evaluation and show them kind of a feedback, okay, dekho, this much you need to be there. So all those things ultimately allow them to remain attached and focused with your thing. So that is one important thing. And second thing is that during this period, the more important aspect is their psychological well-being in terms of injury, having the confidence that they are moving ahead. So feedback, few data, and then communication actually plays a lot how they will hold their might. So that's important.
Counseling is very important part of the job. We can say that. And this was going to be my next question actually कि आप ने इस तरह का scenario भी face किया होगा when the athlete is very anxious to return to its play and you have to say no to it because the rehab is not completed.
Absolutely.
So the fallout must be there, and how did you what kind of fallout you faced in that?
Without taking the name of the club and the player, I can just refer one thing. I managed one hamstring injury case few years before, and it was a moderate degree of hamstring, and the injury was towards the origin site of the muscle. So my understanding was that that player requires to have certain amount of period because of the site as well as the type of injury. Issue is that there was a very crunch match, and the player was feeling like at least 10-15 minutes he requires to be in the match. And that is because he was feeling that he might not be 100% fit. However, because he is there in the pitch, the opponent will deploy 2 more players to guard him, and therefore his teammates will get benefit.
Okay.
He mentioned it to me, and he mentioned it quite clearly ki, sir, I understand that I might sustain some injury, but it is the final match where the decision will be there for this year. And after that, as it is, there is 2.5 months of break. So whatever will happen, I'll face. So once they are clear from my side, I cannot give officially yes, but I can say, okay, fine. You just take your luck, because you cannot just make a player prisoner. They have their
Absolutely.
emotion, they have their attachment, and being a player, I also understand those
Hmm.
aspects. The player has played, sustained a hamstring pull once again, and then almost 2 months and 2.5 months once again gone for the rehab. But the best part is that he has done what he was exactly looking for. He draw to player of the opponent team, created a space, and the last 15 minutes his team has scored. So if you balance it out, I will say, okay, what decision we have taken is not ethical, but for sports, there is nothing more important than winning. So
Yeah.
fine, done.
तो सर रिहैब में तो उसका काफी इम्पैक्ट पड़ा होगा अगर उन्होंने रिहैब कंप्लीट नहीं करा.
Yes, basically, as I like you progress like this. He was almost there, and then most probably just few days, another 7-10 days, we were supposed to be there. But because of that match, he sustained a dip, and therefore we were there after 2 months. So obviously there was a dip. There is no denial. But
it was worth it because the team won.
Means worth it means in sports, at times you will take those calls, and
Yeah.
you know what is the feeling of the team, what is the feeling of the player, and how he is thinking. Something which is an informed, like a decision, fine, we all be part of it.
Great, sir. So let's talk about the process of the rehab. What sequencing you follow when we talk about return to sport rehab?
There is some basic parameter of the body, like how much is the movement, how much is the strength, how much is the coordination, how much is the balance. That is like a basic fitness level. So in the rehab, through your various phases, you will ultimately reach something where you will say, okay, now you are physically normal. But from there, you need to understand whether you are fit for the sports.
Okay.
So that means there will be something which is functional rehabilitation. From there you will start. You will introduce the movement pattern which is as per the game. You will see how they are doing. You will strengthen something which is specific for the sports, and then gradually you will load him with the activity pattern so that you can understand, okay, now he is fit. Also, to take some return to play decision making, there are few protocols also as per game. You follow those protocols or test patterns so that before you declare him fit finally, you can say, okay, after the functional rehab, I have once again evaluated, and now he is fit to play because the criteria are met. So normal physical rehab followed by additional functional rehab, which is game specific. For a normal person, you do your physio activity, and then you see, okay, daily activities and everything is pain free and all, then they can continue. But in sports, this transition is slightly longer, where you introduce the functional rehab, which is game specific, so that they are not sustaining the same injury once they are back. Because of the intensity of activity, because of the contact nature of the sports, you use this functional rehab part so that they can go. Like as an example, suppose I have sustained a rotator injury, and I'm going back to my sports. After your normal rehab, in a general patient, you might be using TheraBand and all, and strengthening and go. But for a sports, I will try to see whether he is in a position to have an explosive power. So I will introduce few medicine ball throw or something, so that I can understand, okay, once he is doing that explosive activity, he is not getting any pinch or pain. So I can understand functionally he is better. And then I will evaluate and then allow him.
So the functional rehab comes later.
Additional part.
That is the additional part. And the first you treat the whatever
As a rehab protocol.
as a normal general rehab
protocol. And in that rehab protocol, for an elite, you will try to hasten up the regeneration part a bit, using any additional modality if you have, so that you can slightly shorten the regenerative process duration,
Hmm.
and then you can help the player to compensate with the return to play time so that they are faster also.
ओके सर, सो देयर इज दिस टर्म होलिस्टिक रिहैब जो कि आजकल बहुत पॉपुलर हो रहा है अमंग स्पोर्ट्स वर्ल्ड. सो व्हाट डज दैट वर्ड मीन, इफ यू कैन टेल आवर व्यूअर्स अबाउट.
See, although it is a term, but if we just look at it in a general perspective, we all will agree that any rehabilitation requires to be holistic. Holistic in the sense you need to rehabilitate at the body level, you need to rehabilitate at the psychological level, and you need to rehabilitate on the metabolic side as well. As an example, suppose I'm doing a rehab, but I have not changed my diet pattern. As a player, I used to eat this much, so that is my habit. So during the rehabilitation also I am eating this much. So what will happen? I will develop an additional weight during my rehab phase, so that although my movements might be pain free, but once I start doing the speed workout, because of my weight, I am susceptible to getting some certain amount of niggle here and there. So holistic means you do not just focus to the injury, you focus to the metabolism, you focus towards the mental wellness, you focus to all other aspects, so that once I am back, my performance will be better where I have left. And that is the challenge, or that is the motto of holistic rehab, where in the rehabilitation you just do not manage the injury, you manage the individual, so that the individual is coming back more fitter mentally, physically, technically, tactically, every way, and performance is better.
तो सर सिंपल वर्ड्स में बोला जाए तो होलिस्टिक रिहैब इज द रिहैब जिसमें सारे फैक्टर्स को भी इंक्लूड करा जाता है जो रिहैब में आपका जो इम्पैक्ट करता है.
Absolutely.
तो सर एज अ स्पेशलिस्ट योरसेल्फ आप किस तरह से, आपके क्या अप्रोचेस रहते हैं टू बैलेंस द रिहैब विद न्यूट्रिशनल फैक्टर एंड आल्सो द मेंटल हेल्थ एंड द स्ट्रेंथ पार्ट?
Once I handle a player, the first and foremost part is that I need to understand the injury, and I need to plan the injury in a better way so that I can manage it completely. That is one side. But more than that, I need to understand the personality. As an example, there are five types of human being in the world, and we mention it like an ocean, OCEAN.
Okay.
Like openness, conscious, agreeableness, extroverted, and neurotic. Now, I need to understand my player is basically of which trait. My player is also having which type of anxiety level. So that, depending upon that, I need to set a goal. As an example, suppose I am a personality where long-term goal, if you set in front of me, I'll be confused and I'll be worried. But if you give me short-term goal, okay, इस 7 दिन में हमें ये करना है, and I get a positive cue out of it, I will be performing it better. So if I understand my athlete and I set a goal which is better for him or her to follow, that will make them glued with the
So the
exercise.
approaches are not always same. It depends on the person, type of person.
Your management might be same, but your commentary and communication is different.
Of course.
For somebody, you might be saying, okay, no issues, forget about it, 6 months, do it.
Yeah.
Because you know that he has a tendency to set a goal here. For him or her, no issue. But for a different type of personality, or different type of anxiety level, the goal remains to be setted in a different way. So that's the issue where you need to focus. Also, you need to understand how is their recovery pattern, how they are sleeping, how they are keeping themselves mentally active. Obviously, a coach will also ensure those things. The player who is not playing will do something on the mental side of the game as well, like observing match, understanding it, improving his own technical side, visualizing things. So those part will be there. But you need to overall ensure that he is engaged mentally, he is attached with you through the process and the nutritional side. So that is the difference. You need to focus on all, either directly or making the coach part of the system so that they are also making something like that. What will happen in a football if I'm out of the game? The team is playing,
Yeah.
my coach is focusing there. So who is focusing towards me?
Hmm.
Only a physio? Now, as a physio or as a sports medicine personality, if I am limited in my knowledge about football,
Hmm.
once I am interacting with my player will feel void about the game. So
Absolutely.
you need to communicate with them in such a way so that they are attached with the process and they are not feeling like leftover.
Hmm.
In an elite, the most difficult part is that they feel they are leftover.
Hmm.
I'm not going back. I'm not going back. So the
Hmm.
pressure will not come once you keep them engaged mentally. So that part is important.
So physiotherapy has a lot of responsibility. It's just not about the rehab. It's everything. The nutrition part you have to take
Yep.
care of. The mental health part is you have to take care of. The
Absolutely.
counseling part, you are the only one who is doing it because you are the one who is
Yes.
closely associated with
Yes,
the
yes,
athlete.
yes. There will be team where lot of team support is there,
Mm.
but there will be team where lot of team support is always not there. And
Right.
if at all they are there, if I'm communicating it in that way, it is always better for the player.
Hmm.
Suppose you have a team psychologist.
Yeah.
That is fine, but the psychologist is not there every time.
Hmm.
So if the player is coming to me and
Hmm.
I'm communicating in a better psychological way, which is better for the player, it is always better. Otherwise, I might say, ज़्यादा हड़बड़ नहीं करना, ये अभी करने से खराब हो जाएगा. Now, my player might not be having that mentality to understand. So I need to understand how I'm supposed to communicate.
So, sir, I know that you must have used a lot of cutting edge tools in the rehab, the sports rehab, if we are talking about. क्या ऐसा tool है जिसके लिए आप बहुत ज़्यादा excited हैं जो sports rehab को का future change कर सकता है? And what are those tools, if you can please let us know about?
I'll just slightly extend it. I'll say like tools used for overall sports athlete management. Okay. Rehab side, okay. Coming to the rehab side directly, anything where you can reduce the decision making and making it more seamless and precise, that is always a better. So if you go from manual to technology, where your algorithm will be making a current decision, is always better because you are not dependent upon an individual, because an individual can make some mistake. So therefore, artificial intelligence is something which is a real big boon in terms of sports, decision making and execution. So artificial intelligence, I'll say. The second thing is that for a athlete or a player, the more important part is that even if they are rehabilitating, they are in the same environment. Therefore, if you can create something which is immersive and giving them the feeling of sports, even once they are doing the rehabilitation, that is the best part. So yes, if you introduce a VR for a player rehabilitation side, it is also important. Excluding this, I'll also highlight one thing, that for an athlete, the evaluation, where you are evaluating the capability of a player or understanding the biomechanical errors and other things, that is an important aspect, although that is not directly rehab, but because it is associated with prevention, that is also important. So there nowadays you have your various motion analytical system where it is automated and AI driven. That is also very, very important aspect. So yes, I can say AI and VR is something I can just look at for a technological perspective, where rehabilitation has been changed or will be changed in future. And then on the predictive side, about an injury prediction, there is also something called data analytics or big data. So that will also change. Like you can even predict a player who is maybe playing even today, who is playing in Spanish football league. You are hiring a player. Before that, you can understand how much is the injury probability.
Injury prone that person is.
Probability, because if you are giving maybe say huge amount of money to bring a player,
Okay.
And then after coming, only after 5 matches, he gets an injury. That means you cannot utilize the human resource. And that is an wastage for the team. So in the decision-making side, the probability or prediction of injury is something very important.
So what tool exactly do?
There is data, this is big data system which is there, and there are softwares as well used in I'm aware about football, so I can say that that is used in football, where depending upon the overall run, acceleration, deceleration, contact, type of game, heart rate, heat maps and everything, they created their own algorithm through which they can give a predictive parameter that iska injury prone itna hai. So suppose you are buying a player and you can understand, okay, injury probability is less. That means that is a good buy. Suppose you are buying a player, but injury probability is more from the history of injury as well as type of activity. Then you can think twice.
That's so wonderful. Like,
Yeah,
I think इससे पहले ये काम एक specialist physician या फिर sports specialist like yourself, they might be doing those work.
Yes, because that means पहले क्या होता था,
हाँ.
you need to evaluate a player to say whether he is having an injury prone tendency or not. But that you can only do once you have already entered into a negotiation process with a player. And then the player is agreeing, okay, I'll come to your team, then you can evaluate him.
Yeah.
But by that time, you have
Inc-
invested time also. And your team decision making is there. So if you have something which gives you a prior information, that is something which is very, very good.
So, of course, like through that tool, any person can be evaluated quickly, and it won't take that much of time. So that so the time and every complex process that previously and
Yes.
even now people are doing.
Making will be very, very big.
Very.
Matlab, like in machine learning system with deep data analytics, if you can get those parameters,
Yeah.
which will be making a better decision making criteria, you will take a better decision, and after that you evaluate a player. So yes, machine learning, AI, VR, three things, the perspective is changing in sports.
तो सर इतने सालों में अब विमेन एथलीट्स भी बहुत ज़्यादा स्पोर्ट्स में भागीदारी ले रही हैं और दे आर आल्सो इंक्रीजिंग इन नंबर्स.
They are getting more laurels than the men.
Of course. Is that so?
Yeah. If you see Indian,
No, yeah, absolutely.
always there.
Yes. तो सर अगर हम इंजरी मैकेनिज्म की बात करें तो इज देयर एनी डिफरेंस इन विमेन एलीट एथलीट्स का इंजरी मैकेनिज्म एंड मेल एलीट एथलीट्स का इंजरी मैकेनिज्म? व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस देयर?
Gender specific variation is always there. Like women athlete will always have a slightly lesser amount of upper body strength. Women athlete will also have a wider pelvis structure in general. They will be having a different Q angle in the knee. They will be having a slight difference in the hamstring and quadriceps balance. So keeping these parameters in view, women have certain injury tendency which is more than the male, which is gender specific. However, because you are aware of those things, you need to take your preventive action so that your women athletes are not getting those injuries. So yes, gender specific side, there is injury mechanism which is slightly different and pattern also slightly different. However, because you are aware, you will try to prevent it. So you will use your tools so that you are not sustaining those.
So knowing the type of
stress injury, you will get slightly more in women. You can also get certain other forms of things which is not a direct physical injury, like a eating disorder. Like in gymnast women, you can get a anorexia nervosa, which is a very common thing, that they will eat less so that they can maintain a slight amount of lean and thin body structure, which can have certain other impact on the physiology. So those parameters are there in women athlete. But yes, because of the gender variation, as you are aware about those things, you can take preventive action.
So knowing the athlete always helps you. Whether we talk about the gender specific, whether we talk about any other factors, जिससे rehab हमारा change होता है, you in the end you have to know the athlete, the person sitting and who is coming to you for the rehab.
one thing we always say as a sports medicine person that a human being is not a motorcycle. So you cannot just change the brake. You just cannot do something with your lubes and you feel that the bike will run.
Of course.
It is individual. So therefore, every individual, along with the body, there is a very important component of emotion. So if a person is emotionally dependent or trusting you, the outcome of the rehab will be different. So how much I am bonding with a player is an important thing.
And better.
And therefore, you will see few physios or sports medicines persons are continuing with one type of sports because they are understanding the game, they are understanding the athlete, and they are understanding the nature of injury of that sports better. So they are handling that better.
And are able to connect more with the athletes. तो सर अगर हम जैसे आपने अभी साइकोलॉजिकल एंड मेंटल हेल्थ की बात करी, उस फैक्टर की बात करी, तो हाउ मच इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट द साइकोलॉजिकल पार्ट, द साइकोलॉजी ऑफ द एथलीट, मेंटल हेल्थ, ये हमारे रिहैब के लिए कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है?
I can say it is 30% of your rehabilitation. Your rehabilitation mechanism and process is 70%, but the psychological aspect is 30%. Why I am saying so? Because if you connect with a player, if you can explain your things better with a player, and if you can set a goal together with the player, the rehab journey will be smooth. If you are not having these three, but you are using your modalities and exercises only, the journey of rehabilitation will not be smooth. The player, especially at an elite level, will show dissent that the improvement is not happening.
Of course, अगर आप connect ही नहीं कर रहे अपने athlete के साथ, patient के साथ.
So the more important part is that your rehab protocol, your machine and modality is 70%, but do not forget to connect with the player and connect as per the player. That is 30%. So if you connect with the player as per the player, 30% job is done. Then you have your physiotherapy.
This is actually amazing that you mentioned there are 5 type of people and you have to know what kind of person and what type of person this is sitting in front of you as a patient. So you have to counsel and use the correct words according to them. You cannot tackle an anxious person with some other way. There is no single way.
Not at all.
Wow. तो सर अगर हम बात करें, मतलब आपको बहुत सारे ऐसे पेशेंट्स मिले होंगे जिनको री इंजरी का एंजाइटी होता है, एंड सम ऑफ द एथलीट्स जो कि अब प्रोफेशनली दे आर नॉट प्लेइंग, सो दे माइट बी फेसिंग द लाइफ क्राइसिस, आइडेंटिटी क्राइसिस व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट. हाउ डू यू मैनेज दोस केसेस?
See, any journey there will be setbacks. So if you manage 100, you will have few setbacks. It will be always. It will be there. If somebody is saying I'm 100% having achievement, might be, but generally will not happen. So the issue is that once a player is getting back to the ground, there is always an worry that the injury might happen. And that is where you need to interact with the player so that the level of confidence is there. I give you an example. There is a 19-year-old boy who is playing cricket for Delhi, sustained an injury in the patellar region, operated at Mumbai, came to us for the rehab. We have gone through the journey for 3 months. After 2 months, we are very, very sure at that moment, because of my association with the player, that now the player is developing a doubt in the mind that if I do so, once again, should I get injured or will I be injured?
Mental block.
So therefore, you need to overcome with it through cognitive behavioral therapy, through additional visual cueing, through additional communication with the player, showing him few findings which will make them feel this is improved, so therefore I will not get injured. So this confidence building process during the time of return to play is very important. I cannot just switch on the rehab and switch off the rehab and say done. It will not be a good meal. So at the end phase, now it is more important that I build the confidence of the player so that once again he is going back to the ground, he is feeling well and not hesitant about doing those movements. So that is really important.
So the case you अभी बताया जिस बारे में जो condition जो scenarios के बारे में आप बता रहे हैं तो उन such conditions such cases needs a professional psychologist perspective.
Yes, my understanding is that yes, if you have a professional psychologist, nothing like that. But as a physio or a sports medicine person, we need to have that much of basic skill to understand and use. If we are not having that thing now, we will be lagging a bit. Otherwise, we'll be just doing the physical rehabilitation, but we'll not be able to complete the overall rehabilitation.
Of course.
And at every level, you are not always having a psychologist. And neither you can ask a player, okay, now you consult a psychologist or like a spin physician who is having a psychological background. So it is better that basic few skills and understanding we must learn, and that will always augment our overall outcome as a physiotherapist or a sports medicine person.
So counseling and taking care of mental health is a huge part of physiotherapy, according to you.
My understanding is that it is everywhere.
Every medical professional.
Medical, non-medical in life, I must understand you and I must know how to
That's a
communicate.
very wonderful thing you said and very important.
Because if I know that part,
Yes.
by half of the job is done. So that is important.
So, sir, as a human being, if we are dealing with another human being, we can say that वो इतनी emotional maturity होनी चाहिए.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's my point, that understanding psychology is just not important for a physiotherapist or a sports medicine specialist. It is important in every strata of life and every aspect. If you understand a person better, communicate with the person better, the outcome will be always better. So that's important.
तो सर अगर हम प्री रिहैब की बात करें तो हाउ मच इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट एंड कितना इम्पोर्टेंस एज अ फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट एंड एज एन एथलीट इट शुड बी, कितना इम्पोर्टेंस देना चाहिए प्री रिहैब को?
I will say like prehab is important for every type of injury, maybe depending upon the severity of injury. But like an elite athlete, somebody is planning to have an ACL surgery. So if I do a proper prehabilitation, what will happen once I am going through the surgical process, the player post-surgery, the journey of rehabilitation will be easier. Because during the prehabilitation, I'll try to maintain a bit of muscle balance. I'll try to bring few muscle active, which will generally go as an inactive form during the injury. So once I maintain those things, the activation, neuromuscular coordinations are in a much better stage. So that post-rehab, I can move slightly faster than in normal rehab, where I do a surgery or surgical intervention or whatever, and then I start the rehab. So if I can do a prehab before a surgical intervention, my rehab will be easier, smoother, and outcome will be better. Like if you are not doing a intervention through any surgical process, then you are doing a rehab.
Okay.
The first day,
the term is called
rehab, then it is rehab. Then you are going through your phases.
Okay.
But if you are doing a surgical intervention, then generally post-surgery there is a rehab. But your prehabilitation is making the rehabilitation part smoother and shorter and maybe more effective. So once there is a surgical intervention, then you do a prehab. Once you are not doing a surgical intervention, if you are just doing physical therapy or physiotherapy or other aspects, then you are doing a rehabilitation. So that is part of rehabilitation.
सर हमने बहुत सारे साइकोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स, मेंटल हेल्थ, वी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग दैट इम्पैक्ट्स अ रिहैब एंड एथलीट स्पोर्ट्स का जो इंजरी के प्रिवेंशन से लेकर पूरा रिहैब और रिटर्न टू स्पोर्ट्स तक हमने सारी चीज़ों के बारे में बात करा. और इस बीच में आपने बहुत खूबसूरती से बताया कि कितना मेंटल हेल्थ का इम्पोर्टेंस है. एज अ फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर मी एज वेल टू बी अ गुड काउंसलर and to understand my athlete or my patient which is sitting in front of me. So there are a lot of physiotherapists out there who must be watching our podcast. Any word of advice you want to give our young physiotherapist जो कि relate counseling part से related हो, चाहे how to balance it with the rehab and how to balance it with the whole process of physiotherapy.
As we are talking about sports therapy, basically sports physiotherapy today, so I will say that every physiotherapist must understand one thing, that unless or until he or she is aware about the game and the need of the game, the rehabilitation will be incomplete.
Of
So
course.
therefore, the sports, I need to understand the sports and the mechanics of the sports so that I can do the rehabilitation. That is one part. Second part is that once I am going through the journey, as I have mentioned, that connect and communication is important. Communication cannot be always one way.
Of course.
That means every day I cannot say my player, you have to do this, you have to do that, you are doing bad, you are doing good. It is a one-way communication. Allow them to speak also. So once you allow a player to speak, you need to know where you can connect with the player. So my second point is soft skill. So one is basically understanding the game. Second is understanding the soft skill. And third thing is that you always should understand that there is no end to learning. So every day, if I can even understand a small thing from a coach, from a player, I must learn. So if I keep these three together, where I am aware of the game, I'm creating a communication channel better,
Aware of the
always
person.
in a condition to learn, you will always improve.
That's wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for sharing such an important advice. And so before we end our podcast, I have a small rapid fire round, if you are okay with that.
Yep.
Can I ask you a few questions
Yeah.
on that? Okay. So the first question is, what is your favorite sports to rehab?
Football.
Football, of course. What is the most challenging sport from a rehab angle?
Boxing.
Boxing, okay. And most underrated rehab tool?
I'll say ultrasound therapy.
Why is that?
Because it is available everywhere, but if we use various forms of ultrasound therapy, as an example, there is something called low intensity pulse ultrasound.
No,
It can be used for stress injuries and other things. You can use the
and it
continuous
actually
mode and all.
heals and
So
gives a good.
as a regenerative
Yes.
part, that tool has a lot of potential, although used for many years. But somehow it is almost like the namak of your physiotherapy. You need to have
You're
that
right.
something.
Right, sir. So the next question is one quality every elite athlete must have.
Quality every elite athlete must have.
Yes.
Confidence.
Confidence. Message you'd give a 25-year-old physiotherapy self. One message you have already given, but if another message you have for them.
For any young physiotherapist, my single line message is that connect with your patient. Connect with your patient. Whichever way you can connect.
Wonderful.
You can connect,
Yeah.
you will kill.
Thank you, sir. It was really an incredible session with you today. And you just not shared your clinical experience, but also shared your heart and passion about the field. So it was really inspirational, I would say, and very learning podcast video that we had today. Thank you so much. And to our listeners, remember, elite or not, recovery matters. And smart rehab is just not about healing, it's about returning better. With that note, keep moving, keep breathing, and stay tuned with BGM Health. Thank you so much.